Let's face it, the GoHighLevel client portal can be super confusing. So in this video, I'm gonna clear everything up for you. I'm gonna explain exactly what the client portal is. I'll show you all the features that are inside the client portal and how you can customize them. And I'll give you my recommendations on exactly how to set everything up. So now let's jump in and let me show you how to set up your client portal for your GoHighLevel community. So one of the biggest components to setting up your high-level community is understanding what the client portal is and how to configure it so you can customize it to make it look and feel like you want it to, okay? So let's read what HighLevel says about the client portal. So what is the client portal? Your clients have the ability to log in at any time to the client portal for assessing courses, communities, and overseeing their affiliate payouts. So basically, the client portal is a hub where your clients can access all the products that you've given them access to. So let me show you what a client portal looks like, okay? So this is an example of a client portal. Now, all of this is customizable, and we're going to show you how to do that in a little bit later in this video. But you can customize the menu items on the left-hand side here. You can customize what they see here, and you can also customize what page that your clients land on when they first log into your client portal. So that is what the client portal looks like. Now, to find your client portal, you're going to scroll down on the left-hand bar here in your sub account. You're going to go to memberships, and then you're going to see this little tab that says client portal. Also, within the client portal drop down, we've got the dashboard, which you're looking at right now. And then we have the settings, which we're going to go through each of these individual settings here shortly. And then we have the branded mobile app. Now, let me talk about the branded mobile app just really quickly. So a branded mobile app is basically, you can, I think it's $79 a month. You can create your own custom app for your brand, for your business. And it doesn't have any high-level branding or any GoCollab branding. It's your mobile app, okay? So it's going to live in the Apple Store and the Android Store, and it's going to have your icon, and it's going to be branded fully to you. Now, my suggestion is, unless you think you really need a branded mobile app, just forget this, because it's a big, long process, and I don't really see that much value in it unless you're this big corporation that really needs a branded app, okay? So I would avoid that and just use the GoCollab app. I think there's a lot of benefit to the discoverability being on the GoCollab.com marketplace. So unless you really need it, then just avoid the branded mobile app. All right, so let's go back to the dashboard here and let's talk about what we're going to see here, and then we'll move on to settings. All right, so here on the dashboard, what you're going to see is you're going to see the number of contacts that you've invited to the actual client portal. You can see all the active users on the client portal that have access to it. You're going to see the client portal URL. Okay, so we can actually customize this. We'll show you that in a second. And then at the bottom here, you're going to see all the different actions, and these are essentially going to help you invite people to your client portal. So the first one here is to generate a magic link. So a magic link is just an easy way for people to log in. You can send them a link and they can log in without having their password and all that information. So within the magic link, we have two options for getting this magic link to your contacts. You can either select a contact here, or you can type in an email address and then you can send them an email. You can generate the magic link and then send them an email, or you can create a custom menu link which lives over here in the menu on inside of your HighLevel agency, and then you can make that show up inside the sub accounts so that people can easily access their client portal. So those are the two ways to send a magic link or to get a magic link to your contacts. Also, you can invite people to the client portal. So I can click this invite button. Same here. I can enter an email, or I can choose a contact and then send invite. And then finally, we can send the login information. So if somebody already has their opt-in, they've already logged into the account, but maybe they misplaced it, then we can actually send them a login email. So we can search for a contact, or we can add an email here and we can send the email there. So that's the different ways that we can invite people to your client portal. Now let's actually go to these settings. All right, so let's first start with an overview of the different setting options here, and then we'll dig into each one of these individually. All right, so the first one here is the domain setup. This is where we're going to customize the actual link in the domain for the client portal. App permissions, this is how we're going to customize what shows up in the actual client portal, like we talked about earlier. Language settings, obviously this is where we're going to set the language for the actual client portal. And then branding, this is where we can kind of customize the look and feel of the actual portal. And then email settings, which this is where we can set the notifications that we want to send everybody and the admins themselves. So let's actually show you first the domain setup. Now, if you want to customize the domain that your communities live on and make it a pretty little domain that is branded to your business, what you need to do is you need to set up the custom domain for your client portal. So that's how you're going to do that. So to do that, we have two different options. We can set up the subdomain that lives on the default domain that HighLevel gives you, or we can actually use a custom domain that we set up in our hosting account. All right. So if we wanted to set up the subdomain on the default platform that they give you, then what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're just going to edit this subdomain field for the default domain. So I'm just going to call this Ron Client Portal, and then I'm going to click Update Domain. And now once I've done that, if I head back over to my dashboard, you can see that we have the new custom domain that is still living on the default domain that HighLevel gives you. So if I click on this, that's going to take me to the login page for the client portal. Now, once I log in, that's where you're going to see all the client portal information that we showed you earlier. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. The better way to do it is probably to just use a actual custom domain. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're actually going to set up a custom domain. So I'm going to do Ron Client dot, and then I'm going to put that on our domain. So this is a subdomain that lives on our main domain. So I'm going to call this GoHighTicketNow.com, and then I'm going to click Add Domain. And then depending on where your domain is actually hosted, sometimes it will just do this automatically. Mine is hosted on Squarespace, so I actually have to do this manually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add record manually, and then I'm going to copy this information. I'm going to add it to the DNS records inside of my hosting account. So I'm going to go to Squarespace. I'm going to find wherever the DNS settings are, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a new record. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. I'm going to click on Add Record. And then we're going to grab the host name, which is this first part here. I'm going to just copy that, go to Squarespace, and I'm going to paste that in. Now the type of record this is a CNAME, and it should tell you right here. So we're going to grab the CNAME, and then we're going to, sometimes this says value for us in Squarespace, it says alias data. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the required value here, and I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste that into the alias data. Again, it might say something different on your hosting platform. And I'm going to set this as low as possible, this TTL, and I'm going to click Save. And then I'm going to go back to the domain settings. I'm going to verify the records. All right, so we just verified our custom domain here. If we go back to the client portal, it might take a little bit of time to update, but no. Our client portal is now on our actual custom domain. So if I click on this, again, it should take us to the login page. Okay, it's not quite ready yet, but give it a few minutes and it should populate at some point. So I'm going to just refresh this. All right, so now it's finally populated. We've got our custom domain set up, and now when we log into our community, it's going to sit on ronclient.groupfuel.io. Okay, so that's how you're going to do custom domain setup. Now let's actually go to the settings and let's go to app permissions. All right, so app permissions. So this is where we're going to customize what goes into our client portal. Okay, so what our clients see when they log into the client portal. All right, so the options up here at the top are going to be the apps that show up in the client portal. So you can check these on or off, so we can decide whether we want the communities to show up, which obviously we do, courses if we want those to show up in the client portal or just in the community. Affiliates, if you have affiliates, billings and subscription, contracts, estimates, and shared files. So I would probably, if I was just doing the community, then what I would do is I would come in here and do shared files, uncheck that, uncheck estimates, uncheck contracts. I would probably keep billing and subscriptions in there. If you wanted to have affiliates for your community, I would definitely keep that on. And I would probably just untoggle the courses, because we can actually put the courses inside the community, so we don't necessarily need courses in the client portal. Okay, and then here at the bottom we can actually select the default landing page. When somebody logs into your client portal, this will be the first page that they actually land on. Okay, so if we are doing communities, obviously we would probably want to select communities, and you're only going to be able to select the options that you have checked up here at the top. So again, if we are running a community and that's our main focal point for our clients, then I would just select communities as our main landing page, and then we're going to save the settings. And then let me go to our community client portal, and I'm going to log out, and then I'll log back in, and you'll hopefully see that the new setup is the way we just customized it. Let me pause the video, give it a little bit of time, and then I'll come back and log in. All right, so let's log in, and then you'll see that we land on the community. This is what we selected for our landing page here. And then if we go to the actual client portal, you can see that the only things that show up is our communities, okay, our affiliates, and managed subscriptions. So that's what we have checked here, these boxes that we have checked here. So that is how you're going to customize what the client sees when they log into their client portal, and also the landing page that they land on. So let's go back to settings, and let's now go into language settings. This is pretty straightforward. You're just going to select the language that you want the client portal to be in, and then once you've got the language selected, you're just going to click Save Settings. Pretty simple there. Now let's actually go to branding. All right, so before we start messing around with these branding details, let's actually look at what everything associated with the client portal looks like before we start tweaking it, okay? So currently this is the client portal, okay? So you can see we've got this little logo here. We've got the welcome to. It's pretty bland. There's nothing really going on here. And then this is the actual login page. So this is the login page. We've got the blue over here. We've got the blue buttons. So pretty basic. Now let's actually start tweaking some of this stuff and see what happens. So let's go back to the settings here. Let's say Ron Client Portal. And then I'll just do the same for the description here. Copy that, paste it in. I'll change this to just red so we can see the difference here. And then I'll change this to green so we can, associate some different things here. I think I've got a favicon in here somewhere. So let's actually grab that. I'll use this, try that. Okay, so that worked. We've got the portal image, and I know for a fact that this is going to be an image that shows up over here. So let's actually change some things first, and then we'll add the image and see what looks different, okay? And then the logo, let's actually see if we can find a different logo just so we can kind of play around with where this shows up. So I'm going to click open, and now we've got our logo in there. And then our support email, let's actually just put a fake one in here. So ron@test.com, and then at Ron's community. And then we have some advanced settings if you wanted to, if you had like custom JavaScript skills or custom CSS. And then we can also add tracking codes here. So I'm not going to do anything with that right now. I'm just going to click Save Settings, and then we'll give it a second to kind of load up, and then we'll take a look at what those changes did. All right, so the changes have been updated. You can see that Ron's client portal is now the title in here, and then there's no description in the actual client portal itself. The logo is going to show up in the client portal right here, and then we've got the favicon that shows up in the browser here as the little favicon on the browser tab. If we go to the login page, you can see that we have the red button, and then we have the red mixed with the green as the portal color over here. So we'll take a look at that in just a second. We've got the description of the client portal here. We've got the copyright over here, and then we have the support email. So let's go back to the branding settings, and you can see here that the core color, the color 1, is going to be mainly going to show up on your login screen over here, and the button. Okay, so that's that color number 1, and then color number 2 is going to be a blend with the secondary with the color 1 on the right hand side. Okay, so that is basically all the branding settings. Now the branding for the client portal does not have anything to do with the client or with the community outside of what the client portal looks like. Okay, so inside of your community you can actually edit the settings for your branding inside the community. All right, so that is the branding for the client portal itself. Now let's actually review the email settings. All right, so the email settings is where you're going to come in and enable or disable the email notifications for your group members and customize the emails that they receive. So this is essentially where we're going to manage all the notifications that you send to your users and to yourself as an admin. All right, so we have 4 different tabs here. We have the client portal, we have communities, and we have certificates and courses. So each one of these tabs is going to be where you're going to click on and control the notifications that apply to that particular feature. All right, so the first tab here, we have the client portal, and underneath each one of these tabs, you're going to see a category of the notifications that you can send. You're going to see a description of that category, and then you're going to see all of the different notifications that you can either click on or off by just simply clicking that checkbox. On the right hand side, you're going to see the default template for that particular notification. And you've got the default template. If you wanted to create a new one, you could click on new template and you could come in here and edit that template to change the look and the feel of the email that the client's going to receive. Once you've edited that, you can click save, and now you have a brand new template that you would send to your users. Also, if we click the little eyeball, we can actually get a preview of the email that they're going to be sent. Now let's actually review some of these notifications, and we'll tell you whether I think you should turn them on or off. So the client portal notifications. So this one here is going to notify members about their invoices. So as a community owner, if that's our main focus, you're probably not going to be sending a lot of invoices unless maybe you have a high ticket service, high ticket offer, and you want to invoice your members and get them to pay that invoice. So probably not going to be worried about this one. So most of you will just keep this unchecked. Okay. Now we're going to go to the communities. This is where your main focus is going to be. So again, we can actually go through here. We'll see the category. We'll see the description of the category. And then you'll see the notification. You can hover over the little eye in a circle here, and it will give you a description of exactly what that notification does, okay? Also, in the name of the notifications, you'll see in parentheses whether it says user or admin. If it's user, that's a notification that's going to be sent to the user. If it's admin, that's a notification that's going to be sent to the admin. So let's go through each of these different categories, and I'll tell you the ones that are important, not so important, so you can kind of make a decision whether you want to turn those on or off. So the first category here is the group invitation email. So this is going to send an invite email when a member is added to a group. Okay, so this one you cannot turn on or off. It's just automatically turned on by default, which is a good thing because when you invite somebody to your community, you want to send them an email notification so that they can actually join. Okay, so that one's going to be turned on by default. The next one is the group membership status emails. This is going to be where you're going to manage emails related to group membership approval or rejection. Now, as a group admin, community admin, you have the ability to turn on auto approval. So everybody that joins the community is auto approved into the community, or you can make it where the admin has to review each one of those requests and can either reject or decline those requests. So as an admin, I don't really want to get every single request sent to my notification, send me an email notification, because if you start really growing your community fast, that's going to get real overwhelming in your inbox, and you're going to be turning that off later on anyway. What I would do instead is just log into the community every so often and then either accept or reject those requests to your community. I also don't necessarily want to know whether I declined or removed somebody by an admin because I'm already doing that action inside the community. So I already know, whether I've rejected or accepted that particular membership request. So those are the two that I would probably turn off. Now you can just review each one of these other ones to decide whether you want to turn those on or off. The next category is general group emails. So this is going to be where you're going to customize the general notifications for comments, tags, posts, and likes. Okay. So a couple that I would probably keep on is the new comment on a post or new comment reply. So this is going to send a notification when someone else in the community comments on a user's posts, and it's going to send them a notification. So that's good to drive them back to the community and keep them engaged. Also give them a little dopamine hit. Also the same thing when they get a reply on one of their comments. So again, driving them back to the community to engage. I would turn off like on post and like on comment. It's going to be really annoying if they make a good post and they get a bunch of likes, but I really don't see much value in alerting somebody that somebody's liked their post, okay? All right, so one thing that I would definitely have turned on is tagged in post at everyone. So as the admin, there's a feature in GoHighLevel where you can use the at everyone tag, and that alerts every member in your community that you've tagged them on the post. So I'd use this sparingly, but when you have a piece of content that you really want somebody to see, you can use that at everyone tag, and then it will send them an email notification if you have this checked on letting them know that they've been tagged on a post. Okay, so I definitely keep that one on. Keep the one that's also at everyone tagged in comments. All right. Next category here, learning courses emails. So this is to notify members when a new course is added to the group. So new courses added, this one is optional. If you are adding a bunch of new courses all the time, I would probably uncheck this one because it will start to get annoying to your community members if you're sending them a new notification every time you add a new course and you're adding a lot of them. If you are sparingly adding courses, this can be a cool tool because it feels more exclusive. So I'm gonna leave that up to you depending on whether you're adding a bunch of courses all the time or you're doing it sparingly. Also, I would keep unchecked join group learning alert. This is a notification that's going to be sent to the group member when they join a group that has courses available. I don't think that there's any value for that. You can decide if you want to turn that on, but I would probably just turn that off. Now, these ones here that alerts them or notifies the member when a course is unlocked, I think these are good because it's kind of that dopamine hit. Hey, wow, I just unlocked a course. That's cool. Let me go back to the community and check that out. So it's going to drive them back to the community. It's also going to give them that dopamine hit. So I would keep those checked on. The subscription and payment status emails. So this is where you're going to manage emails related to your group subscription status. I'd probably keep all these on. The one that really stands out to me here is the group subscription canceled, sending to the admin. So this is going to alert you when one of your group members cancels their subscription. So that's good because as an admin now I can go and reach out to that person personally and try to win that person back. So I probably keep most of those on. If they start getting annoying, you can come in here and change that. And then role changes, you're probably going to be doing this very sparingly, but this is basically going to notify members about their role changes within the group itself. So again, you're probably not going to be doing much of that. So I just keep those checked on. And then if we go to certificates here, so as a community owner or a course creator, you have the ability in GoHighLevel to issue certificates. Okay, so somebody can get that certificate, they can post it on their website, and it will show that they've been certified by you on whatever your course topic is. So all these are turned on by default, so you can't really edit any of that. And then this expiring certificate, I think it's good to keep that checked because that's going to alert your members that their certificate is expiring. And if you have a renewal fee, then that is going to be an opportunity for you to potentially get a sale by letting them know that their certificate is about to expire. They need to pay the renewal fee and get renewed. Okay, so I would just leave that on if you're even using certificates at all. And then courses, I would probably leave all of these on except for this one that says new comments on courses. This is going to notify a member when a new comment is added to a course. I don't think there's any value in that, so I'd probably just keep that off. But again, review all of these email settings. Don't just take my word for it. Really review them and decide whether you want those on or off. And so that is the client portal. And the client portal is a huge part of understanding how to set up your community properly in GoHighLevel. So watch this video, get it all set up. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.